Hi, this is Ahmed Sheikhat. This is a postgraduate student of International Relations at the University of Chittagong. It's a prestigious public university, and I started learning international relations at the very first year of the university with great enthusiasm because I, in my school and college life, studied science, and then when I got admission in the university, I became pretty much interested in this subject. And like 10 other social science disciplines, international relations is a very wonderful subject. It doesn't have anything fixed. You have always the things to debate. I mean, you are watching something like United Nations, you are watching the global platforms where global leaders are getting together and doing great debates, making some great progress on global affairs. I mean, international relations actually talks about global issues. It actually encompasses society, history, politics, economics, religious issues, transnational crimes. Of course, it does talk about almost all aspects that are related with global arena. I mean, I have started making videos on things for the kids, for kids starting in school and colleges. But when I first learned that I gotta do something for my students who are actually seeking to learn actually the points in international relations. I mean, when I first started talking about something like interdisciplinary field, which actually combines almost all the things. In the very first year in the university, I learned the introduction to international relations, which taught us the international political economy and global issues. I know we have actually four fundamental aspects in international relations: a realist school of thought, liberal school of thought, international political economy thought, and English school of international relations too. So at the very first sight, it was actually a liberal school of thought, talking about people like Woodrow Wilson of America, who first initiated the concept to end the war. He actually first initiated this very concept back in 1919, and in London, University of Aberystwyth for the very first time opened international relations as an independent discipline. I mean, at the very first sight, international relations actually became a product of political science. Later on, it became independent from itself. I mean, almost all the universities in the world are to some extent very much interrelated with the teachers of political science, and a vast majority of international relations literature is actually coming from the world history. So these very issues, actually global political economy, so teachers of economics, teachers of history, teachers of political science are getting together and teaching international relations in their respective universities. But the day after day, big countries like China, Russia, USA, France, Germany, even countries like Iran, Turkey, Germany, where global politics matter more than anything else, more than their domestic ones. So they're getting more and more conscious regarding opening a graduate program on diplomatic studies. So international relations is actually coming out from the field of from the field of political science, but now it is now interconnected with almost all the rest of the other fields. I mean, when we talk about international politics, it's always talking about the politics among the actors. But when it's always about global politics, it's actually coming into the global platform. When at the very first sight I started teaching international relations, it was very much fascinating. It was very wonderful. I liked it very much. Still I like it. I love to continue my studies on international relations after the very last day of my studies. I have got great teachers who taught me some great things. At the very first sight, I found that, oh my gosh, why did I not choose science subjects? Later on, I said that this is the very one which I had to choose, and it taught me a lot of things, and I was in touch with great teachers. Teachers in my department in the university were wonderful. In my whole journey, my friends were so amazing. They assisted me a lot in learning from them. In fact, in the very first year, I learned some crucial things that I will have to share with all of you very much frankly. I studied international institutions, and back then it was actually learned at international organizations. You know about global organizations like UN, OIC, SAARC, European Union. A lot of things we must learn to be a global citizen in the 21st century. I mean, person of international history or someone like him, someone like anyone must learn fundamentals about the global politics today. So international relations teaches the people of global arena 21st century in this way mechanism today, and we come forward to learn almost all the major people, major disciplines also do have great contributions in the field of international relations. People like Tom Friedman from New York Times, people like Mehdi Hassan from Al Jazeera, Fareed Zakaria from CNN, and lots of other global journalists also actually assisted to form my understanding a lot. I'm really grateful to these great guys. Really, whether I'm not sure whether they are listening to me or not. I'm someone speaking from Bangladesh. It's too far away from their countries, but at the end of the day, I owe great debt to them. I am saluting to my teachers in the university who have taught me great lessons in my department, but I am also owing a great debt to the teachers who are staying in the distant corners of the country. People like Stephen Krasner, Francis Fukuyama, and then Stephen Welch, who actually talked about Israel lobby. There you have got plenty of people, anti-Semite people, religious people, interreligious people. People, we have learned about the political ideologies, conservatism, socialism, communism, liberalism, and a lot of other isms which were actually just containing a lot of good things. In fact, honestly speaking, those were actually in the second year we studied international relations since 1914. It was actually talking about the two worlds, about world wars and the Cold Wars and the post-Cold War period where United States emerged as the global superpower. And geopolitics was the most important and the very interesting topic for me. I liked it very much since then. And refugees, migrants, displaced. International relations actually talks about the very real points that we are witnessing on a daily basis in our life. That's why it's so much fascinating. Someone who is now in school or college, I will highly encourage anyone to choose this one, because if anyone is interested to know the things that are going on every single day, if anyone is really expecting to be updated, he needs to study international relations. I mean, someone who is not even in this very discipline, he or she will also need to have fundamental knowledge about the global politics, what's going on, who is actually driving the things from the behind the scenes. Actually, these things are also very important. Gender studies also was very important topic that was actually very fascinating for me. I like this topic. Back then I also studied basics of economics, micro and macroeconomics. We talked about international law, this is actually expansion of municipal law. There we have got many laws like maritime laws, the laws, diplomatic laws. They were very fascinating. I owe a great debt to my teachers who taught me all these topics. Really, theories of international relations, we have already talked about these things. In third year we learned these fundamental issues. We also talked about post-colonial theories, theories that are actually very much fascinated. Edward Said, Michel Foucault, post-structuralist theorist, Gayatri Spivak, and people like Noam Chomsky, who is a linguist, but he has done so much in international relations. People like what can I say? Chomsky, as well as Arundhati Roy, whose book on empire. These are kind of socialist people, but they are doing great for the liberal international relations. People like Joseph S. Nye, who talked about soft power. He is also an amazing scholar in international relations. Politics of globalization was an amazing topic, and at this time, Oxford University and Harvard University, Cambridge University, almost all the great universities, like Columbia University, also doing great things. I actually started talking about conversations with history in lots of videos, which were actually just talking about the global paradigms and big issues. And later on we started foreign policy issues. It was very much sophisticated, and I like this topic very much. In countries like Bangladesh, where foreign policy is basically influenced by the political elites, not by the scholars. If you go to America, you will be watching people like Barack Obama, who has a major in political science and a special masters in international relations. He became the president of the United States. Condoleezza Rice, almost all the Secretary of States of America, and even the ex United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon was also a student of international relations. So there you have got many big progress in the field of international relations who are doing great things. Global environmental politics is also very much fascinating one. It talks about COP21, talks about Rio de Janeiro summits, Copenhagen summits. We studied how the world should be greener one, how the people across the world are actually running to make it a more lively and healthier one. There you have got green parties across the world who are working relentlessly to make the country a better place to live in for our generations. And in the fourth year we are studying strategic studies. It talks about the exchange of the strategy and the way the big parties, big leaders are trying to stay in power. To some extent, people like Niccolo Machiavelli, Sanjo, The Art of War, people like what can I say? The Art of War, the on Clausewitz, Karl von Clausewitz, and a lot of other scholars books we actually went through back then, and that was also amazing subject. I mean, we must know the laws of war, how you should treat your enemies, how you should talk to them, and then we talked about public policy and governance. Students of international relations go to the policy making mechanism platforms, so they must learn how these things work, how public policy should be formulated, and we thought about it too. We talked about Richard's methodology, that was very wonderful for the upcoming life. We talked about ethnicity. We know international relations actually talks about three kinds of worlds: the worlds in the land, the world in actually the world in plain land, the world in hilly area, and the world in maritime area. So you have got to learn about the refugee crisis. You have got to learn about the wars, conflicts that are very much going on in the world every single day. Iraq war, Syria war, Yemen war. There are thousands of conflicts across the world. So it's the diplomats who are actually looking forward to learn to make the better place a better place to live in. And you have to learn that you have got tremendous amount of political interest. The countries are not going to negotiate because of the religion, differences in ideology, differences of interest, okay, differences due to the allies and enemies and lots of other factors. You have got to learn about peace and conflict studies. There we have got another discipline which has actually come out of this department. Peace of conflict department. Conflict studies is also name of another department in some great universities. And we learned about human rights. It's also very important. We know about these great things. UDACR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, back in 1948. And we talked about lots of rights for the women, children, displaced, disabled. We talked about several other issues that were actually very wonderful. And civil society and NGOs were also very important. I learned about these topics back then. One of my teachers was very wonderful back then. He taught us these very topics. I owe a great debt to this very teacher. I like him very much. And also a teacher who taught us politics of international economics was also wonderful. Was international political economy is very much divided between two parts, British and American political economy. Robert Gilpin. We have got to learn about these people. George Friedman, who talked about the world after 100 years. I have actually gone through plenty of books on these things. These were very wonderful. So I'm just here before everyone to inform regarding the fundamental aspects of international relations. The students who are expecting to be a student of international relations in time to come in the universities in home and abroad, in Bangladesh as well as outside Bangladesh, please, if you are really interested about the global affairs, be as part of international relations, actually we gonna make the world a better place to live in, because we are learning diplomacy, we are learning how to negotiate and how to settle the disputes peacefully. And that's the message I would like to send it to you. The purpose of my making of this video was to inspire the youngsters to choose international relations as a major discipline in the university or higher studies. Thank you so much.